everybody, happy Monday and welcome to SuperSoul Boulder. I am Dr. Lara Johnson from Yellow Brick Physical Therapy, and this is where we have all these conversations about mind, body, heart, health, and wellness. What does that mean? It means not just your body, not just the biology, not just your mind, not just psychology, but also your heart. What do you love to do? What are you passionate about? What keeps you motivated and inspired to do the things you love to do? Hey, definitely let me know if you're here. By a like or a heart or a comment along the way, even if you're here live or if you're here on the replay. It's super helpful for me to know who's watching, and I love seeing it because I love having you here. So welcome again to SuperSoul Boulder. And tonight we're talking about pain and your amazing brain. Our brains are so amazing, you guys. It's super easy to forget or not realize or learn about it for years and years and then still kind of not really get the whole crux of that because like it's really running the show, and not just I don't know, it's your organs, it's your muscles. Hey Carlos, great to see you. It's your organs, it's your muscles, it's our sensation of pain, of temperature. It regulates everything. It's your electrical signals from your brain through your body out through the nerve pathways. And those of you guys who know me already know I love the nervous system, because not only am I a physical therapist, but I specialize in neuromuscular, which means neuroscience, and because the nerves control everything. It's a little like the base. I've been also taking this running course lately and reminded of how important base training and aerobic conditioning is for the body. So the nervous system is a lot like having function, having the base, having the foundation functioning for your body so that everything else can function smoothly too, especially when it comes to motor control or movement. So your brain has a lot to do with movement. Your brain also has a lot to do with pain. Because there's so much, I'm like, where do I start with this? If you have questions or anything, feel free to let me know. Hey, Brandon, great to see you. Or comments or questions or whatever comes to mind. Feel free to put it in the comments there. But, there's a lot of pain research going on right now, or in the last several years. Another thing I was thinking about is there's a lot of sleep research, and I'll talk about it a little bit here, but sleep really helps us in so many ways. We'll come back to that. We'll bring it all together because you know how I like to connect the dots. So let's talk about pain for a minute. So it's great that we feel pain, right? Wouldn't you want to feel if you stepped on a nail on the ground? Because if you didn't feel it, there'd probably be blood all over your carpet, or your skin would be injured. Things would be injured. Things would actually be damaged without your knowing it. So we want those signals. And that's really good. So whether it's stepping on a nail or running hard for a long period of time, there are a lot of reasons why it's good to feel those things. And sometimes it becomes a problem. Sometimes it gets in our way. Sometimes it becomes an ongoing messages in our brain that isn't related to a tissue problem. So pain does not necessarily equal tissue damage. And that's a really important piece of research that's out there currently. So pain does not necessarily equal tissue damage. A lot of people are walking around with things like bulging discs without pain, and some people are walking around with pain without having anything physically going on. But that doesn't mean by any means that pain is not real, or that it's in your head. So and I would like to make the distinction between the brain and the mind. So the brain has a lot to do with pain. Our minds can really take it and run with it too. So there are no centers in your brain that are for pain, which means there are receptors for sensation in our body that signal pain, but our brain creates this map from a lot of different centers, including experience and memory and you name it, all sorts of areas can be affected, hey Marcia, great to see you, can be affected and brought kind of lit up when you look at brain scans, can be lit up due to pain. So pain is registered in the brain in lots of areas. And pain in that regard can also have a negative impact on our ability to focus, because that has to do with the prefrontal cortex, I believe. Don't quote me if I'm wrong. There are a lot of centers in the brain. We can feel foggier and less clear because of pain. And it can make us, it makes it harder. So it can make our function harder because there's actually too much stimulation in there in those areas. So pain can have these effects, not just physically, but also on how the brain is actually functioning. And I think that's really interesting because when we take care of that, reset the nervous system, it can actually, I've seen this with a lot, I've had, a lot of patients will feel more relaxed finally. We don't realize how much just the sensation of pain is, especially chronic pain, I would say, is making us tense up, or even the fear, because pain can bring up thoughts around fear of something being more wrong or our not being able to do certain things we want to be able to do. And it can create more cycles, not of thought and of pain and of tension, right? So it can be kind of a vicious cycle. So just think about all the stressors going on right now with, there's so much. If anyone watches this video later, I mean, this is the year of 2020. I have a feeling it'll go down in history books because there's so much happening right now. And I know a lot of people are feeling overloaded and overwhelmed. Even that feeling of overwhelm can lead or can even excite feelings of pain in the body. So just know that emotional stress can trigger sensations of pain, because pain is our body's way of signaling danger. It is signaling danger, but it can be physical danger and it can be emotional danger, and it can manifest as sensations in the body one way or another, or it can be a combination. So it's kind of complex, right? That's okay. But the important point here too is to notice how much stress can exacerbate our feelings of pain or continue that cycle too. So we want to take care of the body, we want to take care of our emotions and our stress, helping ourselves be able to move and manage the body and any tissue issues, so to speak, that are there, but also manage our emotions and our mental state, our emotional state also. Because it really is all connected, guys, right? We know this, but it's helpful to remember that. It's not, our physical body is very much related to our emotional selves, our behavioral selves, our social selves, and it all is related, and it can affect all these different systems, right? Sometimes I wonder how what made me think of this earlier, there are different points in my life where I was highly stressed in graduate school situations, in business ownership situations, and I was always wanting to perform well. I was always really interested in running and sports performance, but I wonder, gosh, how much, like, I'd have an injury and then there'd be so much emotional and stress stuff going on for me too, like that all plays together. And so we want to really take care of all of it in that balanced way. So what do we do about that? We help the nervous system itself calm down. I think this is really interesting too for my athletes out there. To perform well, to have high performance in whatever athletic endeavor you enjoy, we need a balance between arousal or excitement and calmness and relaxation. We need a balance of both. And any of you who've had your most successful performances out there, you know this, you felt it. There's a balance between the two. You've got to have that excitement. Your nervous system is kind of ready, a little bit nervous, but not too much. And not too, because then we start making mistakes or doing too much or going out too hard or whatever that looks like, or missing a shot, like in golf or basketball, whatever that looks like. Then you can't calm yourself down enough. We can't be as precise. But you don't have to be an athlete to know to benefit from that concept too. So we need enough stress or excitement or arousal to progress, to to adapt, to create adaptations in our bodies and our minds to move forward, to develop, to make progress, to improve. So you want to have enough of a stressor, so to speak. There might be a better word for that, but not too much. And in any task, we need to be able to be successful and have confidence to be able to do that. Otherwise, we may have more fear or doubt or other things come up. So there's always this balancing act, you know? And if you've been in some sort of chronic pain for a while, it helps to keep moving, but in ways that will help you feel confident about it. And to know that pain isn't always meaning damage to your tissues. Now it's complex here, right? Because we want to have a balance between the two. We don't want to be overly, this is where, back to my athlete example, athletes have a benefit, and they know that pain can be moved through many times, but sometimes we can also overdo it and continue to press through something that may actually create more damage or more patterning, because I see a lot of people with patterns that lead to injuries, whether it's tendon injuries or bone injuries, stress fractures, or otherwise, or back pain or musculoskeletal issues, but a lot of it comes back to the nervous system. And so if we can keep our nervous systems calm, we can sleep better, which is the time where we repair and rest. And not only repair and rest our physical bodies, but it's where your brain sleep, especially deep sleep. And this is where that a lot of that sleep research comes in, which I think is really fascinating. Sleep is also, especially the deep phases of sleep, is where your brain can integrate information. It can integrate movement information, like with a sports skill. It can integrate new, I really think like, like connections with relationships and new discoveries internally, the deeper, subtler aspects. Any of those things. So our body gets a chance to not just rest and recover. Part of that process is the brain's ability to integrate, you might say rewire some things. All of that's really important. So getting more sleep allows us to do that. Now, it's hard. Some people, when they're in pain, have a really difficult time sleeping. So there's strategies to take in order to be able to wind down and get that sleep. And in our culture right now, when things are so, anxiety producing, right? Our young people have never been so anxious before. I think a lot of that has to do with the information overload we get from the internet, from social media, from all the things we can have, the information we have access to so quickly, that can be overloading to our system, right? So ways to have hygiene around that can help with not just sleep, but also those stress levels, the ability to be calm, not taking in so much at once. Like that, think about the input, the overload for our brains with all that can come in so quickly. We as humans weren't really designed to take in all of that and to have so much coming at us, sometimes without, and creating an emotional response sometimes without our awareness of that. So I'm going to bring in that awareness piece too, of how being aware of what's going on in your mind can really help with all of these factors I'm talking about, whether it's anxiety and stress, which produces tension in the body, right? You probably know this, your shoulders tense up and we feel aches and pains. And so being able to notice that tension is a really great place to start. Just having awareness of where in your body is tension. Now this is where coming back to feeling your body, being able to sense your body really helps to create awareness, to know where those tensions are. And oftentimes in having the awareness and just staying with where is the tension, it can shift on its own. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty incredible. And that's not related necessarily to what is being said about pain science, but in the other areas I've studied, that is something that can happen. The awareness can allow things to shift on their own. So now that brings me to another interesting thing I've noticed when it comes to pain and our bodies is we as humans tend to ignore a lot of things, right? Ignore those pain signals, or we might actually catastrophize, or we might actually be fearful about it. So what do we do about that? When we ignore things for too long, they tend to keep getting louder and louder and louder, because remember, pain is our signal that there's danger, something wrong. We need to look at that. So what's one way we can address that? Well, maybe it's going into that. Maybe actually feeling it. What does it feel like? Where is it? As it gets so intense for people, I can understand the desire to want to ignore it, push it out, not feel it. But what if you actually get more curious about where that is located? What is it like? Where is it? How intense is it? All of the more you can become aware and deepen and be in tune with your body, the more useful that can be, right? And then if maybe it's so intense that we get fearful about it, just maybe, I wonder, right? I'm curious if you go into that sensation a little bit more, does it shift? Does it stay there? Does it actually feel less intense and less scary than you thought it would be? And or does it let you know that it's time to get help because it's not changing and it's still there, and something's, the matter. There's a signal saying danger and something's wrong and you may need to get help with it. I like to help people with pain. I like to help people because it's super fun to see that shift and that change, and then let you get back to doing all the things you love to do, whether it's just being able to go about your daily life, sit at the kitchen table, have dinner with your family for a couple hours, or be able to run 20 miles on the trails, whatever that looks like for you. Super important to take into account how you as a person have this whole array of aspects that are important, right? Both your physiology, your body, your mind and what it's saying, what we get fearful about, or what experiences we've had that make us more afraid or more maybe likely to ignore something, or you name it, whatever our minds do, so distracting ourselves, being busy, creating that anxiety, creating tension, that vicious cycle. And what you, again, that heart piece, what do you enjoy? What do you love to do? What makes you you? And all those things are important in the healing process, in your life's journey, in growing and developing and moving forward and interacting with the people you love and care about, your relationships. And there's that another side of another form, I guess, of pain there. Like, when you're emotionally hurt, that can make other things feels like pain. It feels hurtful, right? Those things can linger just like pain in your body can linger. And it's can stir up feelings of danger and having to protect yourself. That creates tension too. And so I'm not saying that tension is wrong or bad. It's just then it's harder to relax and to sleep and to do the things you love to do. So again, it's always a balancing act. And the more awareness you can have in your body, in what your mind is up to, the more we can tune in to all those things, how we react to certain conversations or things that we hear, the more we can just be aware of our own responses, the more we can, regulate our responses. And by that I mean, that's a kind of a training term. So for training for health and fitness, being able to tune into your body and read it well, allows us to make decisions that help support our health and not do too much, but not too little. And similarly, if we're aware of our responses and emotions and reactions and tensions, we're more able to know those for what they are and maybe not allow those to take off on their own, right? Super hard when I know a lot of my teacher and parent friends out there, and all sorts of people who are struggling with changes in their jobs during this time. That's very stressful, very anxiety producing. And my best advice in this moment, at least for everyone out there, is to just keep coming back to your body. It's always in the present moment, your breath, calming down, allowing your nervous system. There are lots of ways to do that, lots of types of meditation or sensing. I've got videos if you're ever interested in having support with that at all. and being able to move. And as we know, aerobic exercise is really helpful with that too, but not if it's hurting you. So be sure to do whatever exercise you like that helps with bringing endorphins into the body, keeping you moving, allowing space for the nerves. They need space, they need flow, they need all this connectivity too. And if any of those things are lacking, then we can have some of these signals go off that tell us something's wrong. Not a problem, we want to know that, and we want to deal with it head on rather than waiting or ignoring it or all sorts of things like that, and checking it out. All right. Well, that is what I've got for y'all tonight on this Monday. Thank you so much for joining. Let me know what comments or questions or insights you have about pain. Make sure you get some good sleep because it really helps. And there's a lot of good tools and techniques to help with that too. One quick thing I'll mention is what one of my good friends calls a digital sunset, where an hour before bedtime you shut off all lights and electronic devices, so they actually make our brains think that it's sun and that it's time to stay awake. So that's one easy thing you can do to start shutting things down sooner than later. So let me know what you think. I invite you as you go along this week to notice if there's pain in your body, if there are sensations or tension, and have more awareness both in your body and in your mind of what thoughts you then have about that, and also knowing how pain works a little bit more. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean there's a tissue injury, but we also don't want to ignore it or just push through every pain like my athlete friends out there. So there's a balance to be had there too. So I hope that's helpful. Thank you so much for joining and joining me for another SuperSoul Boulder episode. I am Dr. Lara Johnson from Yellow Brick Physical Therapy. Please be in touch if I can help you in any way with your body or otherwise. I'm happy to answer questions, help support you in your own endeavors with improving your body and the health of it, and whether it's performance or whether it's just being as well as possible for the long term. That's all very, very important. So thank you so much for joining me, and hope to see you again next Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Thanks, and have a great night.